We don't need outtakes at the beginning.
Yes. Okay. We
All
are
right.
live.
You're up.
Number five.
Oh, I think this is like,
Yes. Hello,
yeah.
everybody. Welcome back to Unstoppable Live. So today we are going to look at the question of what if creativity, can't even say it. I have to be a bit creative with my lips and my tongue. What if creativity wasn't just about art, wasn't just about being artistic and drawing things and, coming up with sculptures or doing whatever. What do we think about creativity? Well, first of all, if you missed last week's show, yes, just go and check that out because Naomi was on. And boy, if you want a masterclass in creativity, she's your gal. She was coming up with some real proper solutions of how to raise more money for a birthday fundraiser. And yeah, it's just, she's flying with that. And yeah, I'm being a bit creative this week. I'm not in my usual place. I'm actually sandwiched between like a bed and a wall. But I'm here, we're live, and we're talking about creativity. Tell us a bit about creativity, Monique.
Well, I like the question that you asked. What if creativity wasn't just about art? Because I love art. And sometimes when I am feeling stuck in problems that I'm experiencing or things that I'm working through in my actual business, I have found that stopping for a little bit to go do art almost like helps me loosen up and get some ideas and just get out of the problem so that I can think about it a new way. And then when I come back to it, I'm better. I've got my creative juices flowing. So for people who don't like art, like that's okay, but there are lots of people that I've noticed who, it helps them to like doodle or draw or
Music.
write, just, get into some music. So art is a great way to sort of wake up creativity. But
Get your
again,
juices flowing.
yeah. And I love this question about what if there is a way to use creativity that's not just about art. So if it's okay with you, Simon, I would love to share a story about a problem that I had when I was a girl and a creative way that I kind of like solved it. So what do you think? Can I do that?
Go for it.
Okay, great. So when I was a girl, I don't know where it came from, but I was, as I call it, pathologically afraid of dogs. I was really, really scared of dogs. As a matter of fact, for as far back as I can remember, anytime I heard a dog barking, I immediately got in the defensive stance. Where is that sound coming from? Where can I go to escape? Okay. So imagine a little girl walking down a sidewalk. Sidewalk is clear. She's with a loving family member. I'm probably 3 or 4 years old. And I hear the sound of a big dog. It happened to be a neighbor's Doberman Pinscher. The dog was in the house behind closed doors and a window. So there was no threat. But I still remember that tight, tense, really deathly afraid feeling of it's going to get me, right? So that carried on for a number of years. And I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot of some of the crazy things that I've done when I thought I was going to be in significant danger because of a dog. One Saturday, sitting in the yard in lawn chairs, all of my family in the circle with our family dogs hanging out in the yard.
You had dogs as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. And my family did not have dogs because I was terribly afraid. And everybody
Just
knew it.
live
So,
in
story,
fear.
Simon, this story gets really dark, okay? Because some of us, sometimes we have pesky family members who get some kind of weird pleasure out of giving us a hard time. One of my family members,
Oh,
who
got
for the
those.
story shall remain nameless, pushed me out of my chair onto the ground.
That's
so that
brilliant.
I could freak out about the dog. And what did I do? I freaked out about the dog. I was sitting cross-legged in the chair to be away from the dog because I was afraid of the dogs. And there wasn't just one, we had two at the time, and they were chow mixes. So I had, I was about 8 years old, terribly fantasized about these dogs were going to eat me. They wanted to eat me like lions in the bush. Okay, so she pushed me out of the chair, and I stand. It didn't occur to me to like fold the chair back out and get back in it. I took off running, like full on, escape the tiger. You notice my hands, like in my mind, I was winning a race, like a sprint. And the only place I could go was out of the yard. So I literally like hightailed it to the front of the yard because we were in the back and jumped over the fence,
Wow.
like 1 foot on the fence and leaped the rest of the way over. Crazy 8-year-old girl. It was a chain link fence, splitting my hand like down the middle right here because my
Ouch.
hand caught the gate. Terrible, hurt myself. Another time, same neighborhood, walking happily. Mind you, nobody else is affected. They're family dogs. I wasn't going to get eaten, but in my mind, I was. Another time in that same neighborhood, somebody's dogs were loose, like, dogs get out of the house and out of the yard or whatever. And us kids, we'd always be playing outside because back then that's what kids did. We had board games and toys, but for whatever reason, there was no greater joy than getting outside. So one of these days we're outside, it's not a school day, somebody's dogs are loose, and I hear the rattling of the dog tag and I lose it. I literally lose it, Simon. I take off again into my neighbor's yard. We had these little clotheslines.
You're that cartoon legs thing again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know the T-shaped like clothesline thing that they had in the old days before washers and dryers? Like you used to have to hang your clothes out.
Okay.
Did they do that where you live? Okay.
No, you used to have like the spinny thing, like like
Okay, okay.
on top of
So
the
we
pole, yeah.
didn't have the efficient spinny thing. We had like the whole side of the yard was taken up with a clothesline. So this family, sweet family, a husband and wife, that went to our church, happened to live across the street. So I heard the dog coming. What did I do? In my brand new school shoes, white tennis shoes. I was so happy and proud of those. I ran to this clothesline pole and shimmied up the pole, shimmied up to the top
Oh,
of
I
the pole. I
laugh.
was a
That's
very
just
agile and
awful.
fit kid, shimmied up this rusty pole. And I'm like, they're shaking, mind you, there's no dog in the yard. The dog didn't come with me or after me, but I was afraid. I thought it was going to eat me, bite me, get me, whatever. My shoes were ruined. I was devastated. At some point, I had to shimmy down the pole and go home whenever I just waited so long that I thought it's finally safe. Okay. I've scaled somebody's roof before running from a dog. And then it was probably around fifth grade here in the US. I was 10 years old. And one of these episodes came where a dog really did come running out of the house. And the owner of the dog was like, Max, come back, calling the name of whatever this dog was. Myself and some schoolmates were walking home through the neighborhood. And I took off running, scaled the like railing on a neighbor's porch, and I'm perched almost at the little overhang of their roof. Like I'm up there. And the kids are still standing calmly in the street. They're all pointing and laughing because nobody else ran. Nobody else was terrified. And that's when I realized it was just me. I didn't know anybody else who was like hurting themselves or doing all these crazy antics about dogs. And I
Wow.
thought, this is a problem. Why are you having this crazy response? Is there something going on? So I started to ask myself the question, if I'm the only one that I know in my circles who is having this response, what could I possibly do about it? So for years, I tried to work on being more comfortable. What that first looked like was carrying a broom into the backyard where our dogs were
A
and
weapon.
going a little bit bravely, but being prepared to defend myself because I still had this imminent fear that the dogs were going to eat me alive. And we kept chow mixes and chows for like forever. So they were always so ferocious to strangers that I just imagined that they were going to get me as well. Fast forward, Simon, until I was a young woman, young adult, right? I had finished college and I was getting my first apartment. I decided that I finally had the ability to change my situation. And the way I decided to fix the issue, that I wasn't going to go the rest of my life terrified of dogs when everybody seemed to be having so much joy with the relationship and, being walking the dogs and doing
Yeah,
dog things. I decided to
best
get
friend.
one. So I got myself a cute little poodly mix, cute little teeny white poodly dog, a white dog. His name was Milo. That's what I named him. And he was my best little housemate, right? Like I've got my own apartment. I'm this young girl who's doing her teaching job for the first time. And I get myself a cute little pooch. And he goes everywhere with me and I train him and he worships the ground I walk on and we're the best of friends. And that really helped me be okay with the dogs in general. Fast forward to now, that was my first dog. I have had a total of four. I've got two. My oldest one passed away last year. But now I have a cute little poodly white dog that actually is a gift for my daughter, and my dog, which is a big brown, boisterous, intimidating boxer. So it turned out that my creativity around, I know what, maybe I'll solve this problem by just trying out owning it. Like, what if I just get one of these things that I'm so afraid of? What will happen? It worked out. It didn't make me more fearful. It actually helped me. I started out small and obviously have gotten bigger. I've got my sights on a Great Dane, but some pretty significant things would have to change in my life in order for me to go that doggy. The other thing that I'll say about this, Simon, is that being in love with the pooches that have been a part of my family over the years also created an opportunity for me to meet other dogs. So because of my dogs now, I'm friends with neighbors and coworkers' dogs. I used to always be intimidated by some of the challenging breeds like boxers and not boxers, but shepherds and Rottweilers. And now I dog sit for my neighbors and my friend in the neighborhood who has an Italian Mastiff, like a big, big pooch. I can go out and rub Max on his head and speak to him. So I've completely gotten over the problem. Um, but it started with, I wonder what would happen if I just got a dog. Maybe I could finally get over it if I did that. And it worked. I didn't know that it would work, but it did. Worked
Wow.
beautifully, like a charm. So I don't know how creative that is, but definitely a little out of the box way
Yeah,
to solve.
definitely. Yeah, just thinking about just launching yourself like straight in, like head first into actually owning something that you fear so much. That's a
It was
pretty
a
cool
pretty big
move.
problem. It was embarrassing
Yeah,
to be frank. It
yeah,
sort of plagued me for many years, but
yeah. So there was so much to unpack in that story.
and I
So
told what
much,
like six stories in whatever amount of time. So yeah.
so much to unpack. I love how we started as well, just with your take on, how to actually just get creative, get our creative juices flowing.
Mhm.
Because when we we can sometimes think that, or we can sometimes kind of get stuck in the problem and think that we just kind of that there isn't a solution. We can kind of think our way into a box of that there's no way out, that yeah, that we kind of get stuck in the problem. And your kind of methods for getting the creative juices flowing were brilliant. Yeah, just actually taking a little bit of art, doing some drawing, doing some, listening to music. I've got a friend who literally between classes just puts music on and just dances around. He doesn't care if anybody's watching or not,
Mhm,
because he
mhm.
knows that when he starts moving his body and he starts listening to the music, he starts, the creativity starts to flow. And we know as well, I mean, this is a very advanced class, that we are all capable of doing that. It's part of us all. We all have that ability to be able to kind of shift into being creative, into being focused on the solution, into being curious about, yeah, what's going on and what we can do to solve the problem. So so yeah, what would have happened otherwise? You would have just stayed stuck in the problem. I actually have a friend who is stuck in the same problem, who was in the same way. Uh, he must have been, he must have told me the story at some point, but he must have been like attacked or something by a dog when he was smaller. And now every dog that he sees is a potential danger.
Hmm.
Every dog that he sees, the red lights start flashing in his brain, and he's like his heart starts pounding. And yeah, I mean, he hasn't yet been able to come up with a creative solution. I'll suggest to him that
Get a
maybe he'd like to
coach.
take on explore your solution of actually getting a dog.
Get a little
I
one.
can't imagine him actually being very happy with that idea. But yeah, so that's what happens if we don't get creative and look for a solution for our problem. Then all we do is we get stuck in the problem. Ain't that right, Mo?
Yeah, it definitely happens. And I think the first thing that we need is to, or at least for me, in this situation and in others like it, I think it's important to first identify the problem as a problem, right? Like
Mm.
me, I noticed and was in essence unhappy with the fact that I was afraid and I noticed other people were not. And I decided that I didn't want to be afraid, that I wanted to find a way to not be afraid. I know people like your friend, and maybe they don't have this in common with your friend, but they are uncomfortable around dogs or other animals, and they're not willing to or curious about how to address it. And so they live with that fear or discomfort. And I'm not criticizing that position, right? Like we all get to be what we choose. But I think the point that I'm making is for me, noticing that I was having an experience different than people around me and just saying, I
Yeah, it
wonder what
sounds like that was a
it
bit
would
of a
be like.
turning point.
Yeah, I wonder what it would be like to, not have this anxiety and this stress creep up every time I hear certain triggers. I mean, if you can imagine, sometimes an individual would be jingling their keys outside and I'd be thinking, where's the threat, right? Like that is absolutely having an impact on my experience. If I'm at a barbecue or some kind of family gathering and I don't feel free to get up and walk to the bathroom because the family has a loving animal that is hanging out and everybody's having a good time, but I'm not. So for me, just noticing and ultimately deciding that I wanted to experience something different is what prompted me to find a solution to the problem. Now, I picked a crazy one. I guess there are other ways that I could have gone about it, like visiting pets in shelters or
Yeah, but that
volunteering.
one felt right to you. That's what's important. It
I
feels
mean,
right.
yeah, and I think ultimately it was kind of like, to say it this way, what I was destined to experience, because I can't imagine my life now without the companionship that I appreciate from my dogs, who
Sure.
I consider members of my family, not pets. I mean, they are pets, but they're so devoted and kind and loyal, and such good company. So yeah, I'm glad that I chose the strategy that I did, although others that I could think of right now probably would have worked just as well.
Yeah, yeah. So just to be clear, we're not talking about finding creative solutions to. No, sorry, we're not necessarily talking about finding creative solutions to, animal problems or big
Right.
problems or, hugely scary problems. Um, but that little step of courage can be as wild as actually deciding to buy a dog when scared by them, or it can be, say that you are stuck on a solution in a problem that you're working through at school.
Yes.
And, that little bit of courage is just to being able to, put your hand up or just ask your friend for help. Or even when you are, when you're talking through it in a group, to be able to express yourself, to have that courage just to be able to, come up with your take on what a creative solution might look like. And usually what happens is, that'll inspire other people around you as well to, start being creative and come up with their own solutions. So you might not always be right. Mo didn't know that she was the the buying a dog was going to work. I don't know what she was going to do with the dog afterwards if it didn't work. But it's like try it for a bit and then I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, a very nice little edge on it is just when we are looking for a solution to our problem, just having a little courageous step forward, a little bit of courage and some sort of curiosity as well about, thinking just through the options of what might actually work. I mean, we don't have to go with the first thing that we always think of. We can think of a whole range of things and come up with a whole bunch of creative solutions, but just being curious, wondering about the possibility of what might happen, in the future if we come up with a solution to our problem, that we, stop being afraid, or we can help ourselves or help other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
so
just, yeah, yeah, I agree. I love
so
it. I love
do
that.
we do we have a challenge lined up for this week, Mo?
Yeah. So, what if we gave a challenge? I've got an idea. And so, here, I think we could all just sit for a second and think about something that we feel a little bit stuck in, something that is perhaps not ideal. Maybe we want it to be a little bit better. It isn't, to be honest, it's a little bit of a problem for us. And I want you to, I think the bravery or the courage that you can bring to this is to just be willing to ask the question, what if? What if I tried, and see what ideas you come up with? And then here's where I want to really challenge you, because I think this is so easy. At the point that you've got a list of 3 or 5 things, I challenge you to try the silliest one in the list. Like, what if you just, to get yourself started and to make that fun, right? Like, what if it's fun to find a problem and find a solution to a problem? So, okay, let me repeat that, because I was making it up as I went along. Let's all think about a problem and then just bring a little bit of curiosity to that, right? Like, we're going to have the courage to bring curiosity to it. We'll ask ourselves the question, what if I try? And then come up with a list of things that you could try. And then
Mm.
Mo wants to just add a little bit of funny on the end of it and say, I dare you first to pick the silliest thing in the list, the silliest, safest, okay to do. Mom and dad aren't going to be angry. Like, okay, so let's put all the disclaimers out there, but pick the silly thing and just let it be a little bit fun, right? Like, that might help you with some energy to try some of the other things in the list. And then, of course, we invite you to visit the Inspiration Station, and I'll use Simon's very UK phrase. Tell us how you get on. How does it go? Like, what
So you
happens when
get
you try out a silly thing or two to solve this problem? We'd love to celebrate each other's curiosity and creativity in solving problems, because I think that would be fun.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, coming up, we've got some great guests lined up. So keep tuned in and yeah, just tell us how you get
So
on.
excited about the great guests we have lined up, which we're not going to talk about them today. But like Simon said earlier, if you love that chat with Naomi, oh my gosh, stay tuned, because there are some
There's
crazy,
more on the way.
remarkable, and unstoppable people that are happy to
Absolutely.
come on and share their stories with everybody. So,
Absolutely. So yeah, try out the challenge and yeah, just really let's become unstoppable, because when we get stuck in the problem, hey, it's not quite working out, and we need to take that step. And I love the idea of taking the silliest solution on your that you come up with and trying that out for a bit of fun.
yeah,
Okay,
why
guys,
not?
we're wrapping up, and we believe in you. You're bold, you're courageous.
You're